Welcome to the Malaha Vendor Management. The Malaha Vendor Management is an integral part of Malaha's procurement operations. Effective vendor management is fostering sustainable and value-adding relationships with our vendors based on trust and performance. It benefits the financial and operational performance of Malaha by reducing lead times, improving product quality, impacting costs of goods and services, reducing supply and compliance risks, and achieving industry-leading performance excellence. Since Malaha is the customer of choice for its vendors, we are dedicated to strengthening our partnerships and driving joint growth. Our goal is to build solid and long-lasting relationships with selected vendors that will contribute to Malaha's competitive advantage. Hereby, we believe in joint cross-organizational problem-solving, partnerships based on performance, honesty, integrity, and reliability, collaboration, integration, as well as open communication, and vendor diversity. To achieve our goal together, we must pursue an integrated, cross-functional, and organizational vendor management approach to build, maintain, and develop trusted vendor relationships during 6 distinct stages. Vendor phase: into onboard vendors with Malaha procedures. Vendor evaluation: to have the right partners and capabilities for the right job. Vendor classification: to have the right people at the right time. Vendor development: to empower our partners to accomplish more. Vendor risk assessment: to anticipate and mitigate potential risks. Vendor phase-out: to review collaboration. Vendor phase-in. The vendor phase-in represents new vendors' structured and proactive onboarding procedure to ensure the highest level of trust, transparency, and understanding between Malaha and the vendor is guaranteed. In this onboarding procedure, we defined diverse criteria for our vendor selection in the following areas: technical competencies, commercial competitiveness, regional global footprint, ethical standards, sustainable operations. Subsequently, a long list of potential vendors will be generated and through market analysis and pre-assessments shortened before vendors are released. We generally expect from our vendors established quality and compliance standards, proper order fulfillment, and generally close collaboration. But there are also some defined criteria which would make a cooperation with us impossible. For example, rejection of our procurement terms and conditions, missing certifications, occurrence of unacceptable vendor risks. Vendor evaluation. Vendor evaluation requires the support of all stakeholders dealing with a particular vendor. It represents a holistic preliminary and periodic assessment of all relevant vendor capabilities in order to identify individual weak points and development potentials for specific vendors. Malaha uses quantitative hard facts and qualitative soft facts to evaluate the performance and risk of a vendor. Subsequently, this analysis will result in a vendor evaluation score, which will be communicated and is the basis for defining the specific vendor collaboration. Vendor classification. Vendor classification represents the strategic segmentation of the vendor base into subsegments by allowing the most efficient allocation of the limited resources within segment-specific vendor management activities. Hereby, this step relies on a strong interaction between vendor classification, associated vendor strategies, and overall category strategies, particularly both factors: analysis regarding the complexity of goods or services, and business impacts maps the vendors into 3 categories: preferred, develop and neutral, and watch list. Vendor development. Vendor development represents the cross-functional initiation of preventative and reactive improvement activities to actively foster the performance of selected vendors regarding innovation, supply performance, cost efficiency, and sustainability. This is done using a 3-part approach: deciding about the development approach per vendor, defining measures for development, and consequently aligning the development plan together with the vendor. Vendor risk management. Vendor risk management is the process of identifying, assessing, and mitigating the risk of supply chain disruptions caused by a vendor's actions. Frequently cross-functional meetings help for X-functional risk tracking and aligning of mitigation activities. Phase-out. Vendor phase-out means the planned and structured end of a business relationship between the procuring company and the vendor. This could be the case due to declining performance, decreasing ability to innovate, repeated negative evaluation or audit results, missing targets, lack of willingness to cooperate and communicate, compliance violation, blacklist. However, since Malaha values a close and trusting relationship with vendors, a vendor business hold will be sent as a final warning before business relations may be terminated. If the vendor does not meet the expectations set by Malaha within the time frame agreed upon by the parties, the vendor's phase-out will be initiated. During such a phase-out, following questions need to be clarified. Which substitute vendors can step in at short notice? What will be the major impacts or risks caused by the vendor exit? What must be done between the decision and realization of the phase-out? Who must be involved or informed, and how is the phase-out process defined? In case you have further questions, reach out to vendor.management@malaha.com or the Malaha procurement individual of your trust. Collaborative commitment towards building meaningful vendor partnerships facilitates industry-leading procurement performance excellence. One team, one Malaha. Access more information about our vendor management by scanning the QR code.